Okay guys, I'm out here camping, and this morning I just wanted to go through what I carry in my Blue Ridge Overland gear tool bag. This is their large tool bag, and actually the only tool that does not fit is this proto half-inch drive breaker bar. So we're going to set that off to the side. And I will warn you, this is all going to be filmed on my phone, so I apologize for the shake cam in advance. Had this bag about a year. I think it's a great, durable piece of kit. On the outside, all I carry is 2 sets of gloves, mechanics gloves, and these rubber-coated, I forget what the heck they're called, but you get the idea. So 2 different sets of work gloves, kind of dictating whether it's going to be a super greasy, terrible job or not. The reason I like this bag is it has removable Velcro pouches. It reminds me of the med bag I carry at work. These pouches are open because I've been messing around with it all morning. So, for starters, hammers and pry bar. I started carrying a pry bar because I had to do an axle swap in my friend's driveway. And out of all the tools I have in here, the one thing I didn't have was when I was trying to get the axle removed, I needed a pry bar, and I just didn't have it. So, that's my biggest piece of advice is if you're going to do vehicle projects for a vehicle you plan on taking out on trail or remote travel, make sure you try to do all your projects at home, maintenance, upgrades, things like that, with the toolkit that's included in your vehicle. So, carry this short pry bar. I tried to downsize to just this lightweight ball peen hammer, and it did not do some of the heavier tasks. Specifically, the first time I had to change the axle, it was not adequate. So, I added this stubby, heavier hammer, which is frustrating. I was trying to save a lot of weight in other areas, and this obviously negated the weight savings, but this is a pretty stout hammer, and there's been several instances where I've needed specifically something this heavy. So, I choose to carry both of those. Could you combine it into one hammer? You could. I could carry a heavier ball peen hammer, but then it wouldn't fit in this pouch. And I just kind of prefer having everything contained. So I've labeled everything, and the labels are still fairly accurate. So in this first pouch, tape. 1-inch Gorilla Tape rather than a big roll of duct tape for weight and space savings. This tan tape is called Gecko Tape. It's something that we use at my place of employment, and it's really ridiculously sticky. It was designed for tactical medical applications, so some combo of these tapes generally works for most things. And then I also carry a roll of electrical tape, 3M. This little bag is actually going to get updated soon, but fuses, some connectors. These are the spare O-ring seals for my hydraulic bottle jack, which is sealed up in that bag. Spare ABS shield with hardware. And then that's pretty much all that's worth mentioning. Oh, spare axle nut and retaining cap. This, like I said, is going to get a little more organized and updated in the near future, but for now, it's there. I stopped carrying a full-size tape measure. I shouldn't need to use anything longer than 10 feet, and this takes up no space at all. So I downgraded from a full carpenter's tape measure to this little guy. Haven't regretted it. Padlocks. You need padlocks. So I carry 3 with the key. They're all key-to-like. And I also carry this extra little cable, just in case, depending on what I have to secure. It's not as much of an issue with the Go Fast camper, but if we still need to cable something or secure something, we have that. So that's that. Oh, and of course, some short zip ties. I do carry longer assorted zip ties here. Moving into screwdrivers and some electrical type components. Brass wire brush, these short little stubby screwdrivers in case you're getting into confined places. This is actually one of my best purchases. This is the Klein Tools 4-in-1 screwdriver. 2 size flatheads, 2 size Phillips, 1 handle. They do make other ones. They make, I think, one that's like an 11-in-1, but 4 screwdrivers, 1 size, perfect. This is a body panel tool. It's for removing any kind of plastic fasteners, door panels, anything like that. The reason I leave it in my truck is I travel and I do upgrades at friends' houses. So this is something you should just have in your vehicle. It's not so much for repairs, but more for projects, and it doesn't take up much space or weight. If you don't own one of these and you're still using a flathead screwdriver, guys, just run down to your insert auto parts store here, buy one. I did buy a kit, and this is the only one I've used. I don't use any of the other ones. They also sell a all plastic version, which I would consider if I'd known they existed when I bought this. Crimper wire stripper. I don't plan on doing many electrical repairs, but it's just nice to have it. The small little box cutter. Don't ruin your Benchmade doing truck projects. That's the moral of that story. A chisel. It's just good to have a chisel. This is the, I think it's a 5/8, 5/8 chisel. I couldn't really decide on what size to use, so I contacted my brother who builds substations, and he said that he always carries his 5/8 because he always wore out or broke his 1/2 inch. Small file. I like having the edge to fix or restore threads, file down sharp edges. You get the idea. Next, we're going to do pliers and cutters. I recently swapped out the remaining outliers for all Nippics. So, 5.5 inch cutters, great. Stubby needle nose, these things are super aggressive, comfortable to use, huge fan. 2 different size adjustable pliers, channel locks, whatever you want to call them. These are the Nippics. I don't remember the lengths on these, but you get the idea. And then these close symmetrically or close parallel, so it's going to work more like a boxed-in wrench than your more traditional hinging pliers. So these will just, they're not as aggressive, they won't mess up hardware. Now, moving into 3/8 sockets. Your metric set, 6-point sockets with a carrier, so you can never find, the one you're looking for is always in the bottom. So, metric Allens, that's an extension. Torx. You have Torx fasteners on most modern vehicles, unfortunately, so have that. The one thing I forgot to add is I do need the larger Torx for the bed bolts, so I need to put that in this kit. These are just some other standard Allens, and I don't honestly know why I have those in there, but I'm sure there's a reason. So, whatever, 8, 9-inch extension, some deep well sockets. This is an important adapter, 3/8 to 1/2, universal joint, and stubby extender. Also have slightly shorter extension, so you kind of see the progression there. 3/8 ratchet. I do carry, so besides some of the metric deep wells, I do carry a spark plug socket, and I carry a 3/4 inch socket. This is specifically to tighten the goodness, what do you call them? The bolts on the CBI bolt-on rock sliders. So they have standard hardware, so you need to carry standard tools to work on that. Get this off to the side. That's what I love about these pouches. You can kind of just throw everything in and it manages to fit. Now, wrenches. I do want to add a tool roll for the wrenches, but I carry large adjustable, small adjustable wrenches just in case you need a second set. I carry a 3/4 inch box end wrench, again for the rock sliders. And the rest of these are all metric box end wrenches. I choose to just carry these rather than the ratcheting end box end wrenches. For weight, for space, I used to carry both sets, then I realized that was a ridiculous amount of weight. So, those are the wrenches. Now, this is the part that I have kind of nerded out a little bit on. 1/2-inch sockets. So, 1/2-inch ratchet. 1/2-inch extension with this impact is actually for the lug nuts. And then I have sorted deep well and other 1/2-inch drive 12-point sockets. Now, if there is a duplicate size, I forget what the cutoff was, but any socket that was small enough to still have a 3/8 drive, I eliminated the 1/2-inch version of it. And what I put in here was a, if I can find it, it's in here somewhere. Ah, here we go. So I put in a 1/2 to 3/8 reducer. So rather than carrying duplicate size sockets, carry the reducer. That way if I still need to get extra torque with the breaker bar or with the ratchet, I can put the 3/8 on the 1/2 to 3/8 reducer and use that. I also carry 1/2-inch U-joint. Like I said, assorted deep wells. And this is the most expensive socket I own. I think it was like 22 or 25 bucks. It's 35 millimeter, and this is for the axle nut for the CV axles up front. So, yeah, that hurt to buy, and it's got some heft to it, but the idea here is to be able to do any repairs that I need to do in the field on the road, and you get the idea. So that's everything in a Blue Ridge Overland Gear large tool bag. Seems to work really great. I mean, I have no complaints. The only thing I want to upgrade is we're going to add a little more hardware, a few more electrical doodads, and probably get rid of this Ziploc bag and go to some kind of small parts organizer. And if that doesn't fit in here, fine. It'll go in here. You know, real quick, I guess we'll just dive into this. The carry bottle jack, that's what's in the bag. WD-40 brake clean, Grime Boss hand wipes, cloth rags, Max Track strap. This is a pin adapter for in case I need to rent a U-Haul trailer. Road flares, safety glasses, always have safety glasses. Some 550 cord, assorted zip ties. This is a survival blanket, but it's red on one side, reflective on the other, so you can use this as a signaling device. You can also put it down on the ground if you don't want to lay down in the mud while you're working on your truck. So that's why that's there. All this fits in this front runner wolf pack, and basically I put it all the way forward up against the bulkhead, one ratchet strap over the top of both, this being my toolbox, and the camp box wolf pack sits right on top of that. So yeah, guys, Blue Ridge Overland Gear. Don't let the price scare you away. It's quality gear. Huge fan. It's survived everything I've thrown at it, and it's nice having this amount of tools this organized when you're working out on the trail.